I
We're on.
the broadcast is live. There it is. Zero
Yo,
two
we're live.
three. Yes. Okay.
Your
So
sound.
my name is Carl. I don't mind. My name is Carl Bramblett. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. It's okay. I don't mind. I ain't got nothing to hide. If you this it's for real. I do that on purpose and I'll explain afterwards.
Mhm.
Uh I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. So the question is how did I run across PP Mass? How did I run across PP Mass? I'm like, that's Massachusetts and it's predators catching and things like that.
Yep.
Well, let's rewind a little bit. So since I was younger, I'd always been curious about all kinds of different things because I was always different. Like you'll see my neck twitch and stuff when I get nervous or things like that, or I'll start messing with my hair. That's why I put so much hairspray in it that it won't move. So I got made fun of a lot and I kept just reclusing as a kid. And I got about 12, 15. And, you know, uh, I noticed a dude down the street, he was a little bit older. He was about 23, 24. He could play the drums like a madman. He's playing REM. This had to been like 93, 94. I don't know what was, REM came out with another album, I think in the early 90s, that was a big hit that he was playing all that stuff. And, so, naturally, I was 8 or 9. I go there and check it out, and man, it got a little weird. Even mom and dad started asking me like, what is this dude's name? Where is he from? Started asking a lot of questions like,
Yep.
man, I'm just going over there to listen to him play drums,
Right.
right? So yeah, and he had a lot of video games, and he was big into Batman Forever. That's what it was. So it had to be like
Oh,
94, 95.
yeah.
So and it was he was always playing Kiss for a Rose and that Batman Forever, and had a
Hmm.
big, like, one of the original Batman suits. Like, and he'd come out dressed in it and
Yeah.
like trying to show off. I was like, man, that's actually a really cool suit.
It
And
is.
then and then you know, weird stuff started to happen. Like, I started noticing, like, this dude has, like, my underwear, but it's big. Like, how did he get some WWF underwear to his size? Well, I get to wear these when I'm that older. And it never really went much farther than there. I think my dad had something to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But later on in life, that played a key role into the way I thought about myself and what I was willing and not willing to do to get what I had to get to keep going where I had to go.
Right.
And as I moved forward in life, I really didn't, I was a spoiled brat. My parents did everything for me. I tried my best. I was good in school. I went to Jacksonville State, which
Mhm.
is another part of the story that we'll get to. Is uh, I went to Jacksonville State. I went to for criminal justice to get a degree in forensic investigations. Yes, I went to school to be a cop.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And 2 years later, I was I was divorced, smoking crack under a bridge.
Yep.
Uh, and that
Mhm.
and that's basically, man. That's how my story started. Was I moved home, I got married, I got to working, I got everything. I tried to keep up with the Joneses with her, and I started drinking real bad because the other guys from college could get it from for me. And we got married at 19.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do
Yeah.
that. That's the
Mhm.
only thing I'll say. Don't do.
I tell
Don't
them.
don't get married at 19 if you can help it.
Yep.
Uh, and I met a friend from college, and he came over, and he had some white substance with him, and he was just like, "Here, smoke this," and
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
and then it just from then on, I was hooked. Crack
Right.
had me hooked right off the bat,
Yeah.
and I went to some seriously dark places real quick. And especially the way I thought about myself. And I got to thinking about how curious I had gotten after those certain things. That David, we'll call him David down the street, it got me involved in. Especially, I'd also forgotten the porn tapes I conveniently found he left out,
Mm.
but conveniently,
Yeah.
and just let me put it this way, man. I wouldn't. There was a point in 2011 that I was in Houston going to rehab, and I had walked out of some place in Houston. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, a town of 200,000, maybe. This is
Hmm.
Houston. I'd
Right.
never been in a big city. They were talking about this yesterday, and I was like, man, I understand because the buses made it great because I didn't have a car.
Oh,
But I was
right.
in Third Ward, Houston, man, and I was, man, before it closed down, I was so scared. I mean, I'm at my best was usually about 130 pounds soaking wet, and I'm 5'9".
Yep.
In Third Ward, Houston, with $50 on me trying to score some crack. I had no idea what I was doing. No
Right.
idea. None. I looked just like I did. I walked
Yeah.
in Third Ward looking like this. Man, they're probably like, man. Now you look back on it, they're like, oh man, gold mine, some way or another, gold mine. And I
Right.
get it.
Yeah.
It was, it just, from there on, man, like that point, I remember going to bed that night and I woke up in the hospital 4 days later with my dad over me in Houston. And came from Alabama. Made it there by the time I woke up. And I had actually found out later on that I had been shot, I had been raped, and I was thrown in traffic and had been hit by a truck.
Jesus Christ.
Mm.
And
Ooh.
so apparently I looked down and I had this huge scar going from my belly button all the way down, where they had to reach in and tie everything from my insides to my tailbone, where it still stands today.
Wow.
So how does that leave people? Like,
Right.
man, forget the drugs.
Yeah.
Forget that. Think about, like, you don't want to wake up the next morning.
Right. Yeah.
And for 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, in and out of rehab, in and out of rehab, go into rehab, do good. I take advantage of stuff when I'm in rehab. I'm one of those kind of dudes.
Yep.
But when I get out, I'll always relapse in the middle of it on
Yeah.
purpose or something, like self-sabotage.
Yep.
And then I won't apply any of it when I get out.
Yep. It's like it was a complete waste. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I've gotten to the point today where that blip 3 weeks ago. Okay, I had been completely stone cold sober for 2 years before that. And all I was stone cold sober. Dude,
Right.
I was a piece of man, I was a piece of
Mhm.
crap.
Yep.
I was sober, I was mean. There's a reason my phone hasn't rang for 2 years. It's
Yeah.
not because there's nobody that could call me. It's because nobody wants to call me.
Hmm.
And I ended up in the hospital over that. They didn't take me to jail because of that. They took me to the hospital.
Right.
That preacher thing.
Yeah.
And it brings me to the point that, man, I just want people to know not to give up on anything.
Yeah.
That's what I came to spread is. And I know I went all over the place, and we'll get back and ask questions or
I did
whatever.
it
But
too. I
man,
did it too. The first two times I told my story. So you do it,
yeah.
you know.
So whatever it is, I'm more of like the answer guy. You ask a question, I'll
Hmm.
answer. But
Yeah.
I like, what was it? Something like the subs things. Like, I know some people that smoke Delta 8 every night instead of going out and getting trazodone or getting pharmaceuticals or whatever. They go to the store and they buy Delta 8 and they sleep. But they
Right.
also, for 17 years, they were the same dudes that were snorting lines, off of a wet piece of paper under a bridge somewhere. So if they
Yeah.
want to smoke some Delta 8 and go to bed with a roof over their head and their bills paid, tax-paying citizen, man,
Right.
dude,
So be it.
why don't you be my friend?
Right.
Like, those
Yes.
are the people I want to hang out with. Like, this whole thing kind of took a positive aspect. Like, I went from 117 pounds, I'm up to 141 pounds.
Oh, good
I've
job.
been working out. I took some suggestions from some doctors, from GNC stuff
Yeah.
to therapy stuff. I actually do the morning meditation. I found out that's a big thing for real. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean to line your chakras. I mean, just find some like fearless soul
Yeah.
thing. Or first thing you do is roll out of bed, and I literally hit my Roku remote and I'll say fearless soul meditation.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to it while I'm, screaming F word in my head 1,000 times while I'm awake today.
Right.
Because we all do, you know.
Yep.
Or when you get in the shower, you got that 5 minute, angry talk with yourself.
Right.
And that's where I made big changes. Is it's not an angry talk anymore. It's
Mhm.
of use talk, or okay, what can I do next talk. Am I making 2 or 4 eggs? Even if it's simple
Right.
things,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not in the past. And
Yeah.
that's why I like that thumbnail, because it was like, let the past go. There's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing I can change about what happened to me. Am I scared? Am I fearful over the next conversation I have with maybe somebody at a different race, creed, or color?
Yeah.
Probably.
Right.
But, who am I to judge them ahead of time?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's yeah, the my past is going to cause me to react different, but I have a choice on how I actually react.
Right. Well, that's like
And
people. That's like the biggest thing I feel like people have to realize is like we can't control what other people do. The only thing we can control is how we react to it. And I literally didn't, for the longest time, I didn't believe that. I'm like, well, they didn't have to come at me sideways, or, I probably wouldn't have jumped over the hood of the car at her if she would have never, but it's like, I made the choice to jump over the hood of the car. You know what I mean? I made the choice to stomp her face, not, no, you know what I mean? Not somebody else. Not, I made the choices I made to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah,
I feel
even
so different.
yeah, even 3 weeks ago, hey Dad, I'm sorry, I should have never, ever, ever put you in a position to receive a phone call like that.
Yep.
Like, I put other people in positions that are 200 miles away off a
Right.
decision that I made, and that's yeah, man. Like, I got hung up on time, months, chips, months,
Right.
time. That was
Mhm.
more important to me than me. And it was more important for me to have other people see me have these chips in time
Right.
than it was for me to actually be happy.
Right. Be proud of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff made me happy. But when I started my own journey 2 years ago, locked myself in this bedroom, like, I first 6 months, I got a certificate for online video game development.
Yeah.
The second 6 months, I went to online school. I took the stimulus and just basically I lived on nothing and ramen noodles and this and
Right.
help from my parents.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's a lucky thing that I have, and I'm very grateful for that. If somebody says, "Well, you just caught a break,"
Yeah. It's like, I
sorry, I
mean,
did.
no, but yeah. It's
But
like,
we're here. I am here to help you too, bud. We're on the same page.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it hurts, man. Not everybody gets the same privileges and things, and I took advantage of that for years. I could have done things and stuff, but my selfishness and self-centeredness was way more important,
Right.
and of what I was doing, and that caught up with me 3 weeks ago. So I'm gonna tell you a little story. I'm gonna try to keep names and people out of it
Mm-hmm.
if I can. But
You can keep fake
so
names if you want.
okay, yeah. I mean, if they're already on the YouTube feed, if they've already showed their face on YouTube, I'll but so 3 weeks ago, I was in such bad mental health. I'd already come back from the hospital. The pills hadn't started taking place. It may have been a month ago. I don't know. But they got me on some Depakote and Resputerol. Now I feel 10 times better. Uh, and Man, I lost my train of thought just because that stuff helps so much. A mental health expert. But okay, so I was in such bad mental health. I came home and we actually have a lady here with us. She was a former Navy vet that we help, take care. She's real cool. Her name's Karen. And I went in there and I took her keys and she was like, you know what? I'm going to go down south. I'm going to go to the hood and go pick some up and come back because I was. And that was the plan.
Right.
Always a plan. It's always a plan. Just going to go
Yep.
pick some up. I'll be right back. 3
Yep.
days later, you know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a week later, you're like, hey.
Well, this happened. I got lucky. Because I got there and it was real weird because it's like somebody was waiting on me at the gas station.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's the wrong skin tone
Mhm.
for the area I was in on
Yeah.
purpose. I
Yep.
knew what I was going for. I'd been there for 20 years.
Mhm.
So I was a little weird. I went in, got some cigarettes that I don't even smoke
Right.
anymore. I dipped. So I gave them to this guy and I went driving around. And, you know, over the night, I got parked here and there. I let these other guys drive because, I'd hit it. And I was messed up, man. It'd been 2 years. So I didn't know what planet I was on or where I was going. All I know is I didn't need to drive.
Yeah.
So I was letting these other guys drive, and I was in the front seat. I was like, at least I can't go to jail. I can go to jail, but I'm not stolen vehicle. I'm in the car, whatever. Her
Mhm.
car's gonna be okay.
Right.
So I got to find out, after all said and done, I did some research for about 3 days because I was up for 3 days, and I
Right.
found out that it was JDQ
Yeah.
in my back seat.
You're like,
So, needless to say, I'm sitting here. All I did was just go try to relapse.
mhm.
And then 3 days later, after I've been up for 3 days straight, I'm searching this and I see this guy that was in my back seat of my car 2 days ago. I'm like, no way. No way. I know I'm weird, but I'm not that. No. So it'd been the first time I'd ever been, and that really, I think, was a big catalyst for me too. It's like, you're so selfish and self-centered, Carl,
Right.
that you showed up at the wrong place at the wrong time and you fit the bill perfect.
Yeah.
And that's sad, man. I've been stone cold sober for 2 years. I had fit a bill of a person they had been looking for, which they did the next day. It was if you look on the February the 11th,
Mhm.
in the Huntsville Mall, where Alex went through the mall with them. They
Oh
found
yeah,
that
that's
guy.
not.
But it's kind of like, how could they get that confused? But wait, why? Because you're a piece of crap, Carl. You treated everybody with disrespect. You talk to people with everybody with disrespect. You're negative to everybody, and you always have all the right answers.
Right.
So you kind of fit that bill. It's a
Yeah.
specific niche. I wouldn't say that particular niche, but there's a niche of people that fit the bill of, you can just look at them and be like, there's an aura on this dude that you just don't want to be around.
Right. Like he's an asshole.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, I feel that. I know I'm judgmental, but I see some people and be like, look, and I found that within myself.
Mhm.
And I had nobody to call, no rehab, nobody to talk to except myself
Right.
at this point, because I done run everybody else off. Like,
Yep.
I'm not in jail, I'm not in rehab.
Right.
My life's good. I'm making okay money. I have health insurance for once. I finally have teeth. You
Yep.
know, why don't people like me?
Yeah.
Well,
Personality.
needless to say, man, I needed some help. That
Right.
I needed some help, man, and I
Yep.
got it. Whether it was
Mhm.
being accused of something I was not,
Right.
uh, it was really just because I relapsed, man, and I don't know if that was God's way of intervening or what it was, but it was just saying, man, you need to get your shit together, bro, because you're a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And I have, man, and it's been great. Like I ran across this. This was one of the first thing I saw on his channels, and I was like, man, so there are people I can talk to that don't necessarily have a strict form or regimen. And I'll use as an example AA or NA. And I don't necessarily discourage anything. What I do encourage is what works for you. If it works for you, do it.
Yep.
Please. If you need an AA book, you hit up the link and hit up the chat. I'll get one. I'll get you an AA book.
Right.
If you want in an NA book, I'll get you an NA book. I will help you do whatever you need to do to get where you need to go. And
Right.
that's what I think is the missing link with all this is that we're all, I don't know, like, man, like social media kind of tears people apart.
Yeah.
Politics within stuff tear people apart. And it's just like, how do I navigate my way around that?
Right.
Who do I talk to? Who do I go to? And I ran across this and I was like, man, this is so cool. I now have people I can talk to, and it's just they have weird accents, you know.
Yeah.
But
Often.
A lot
yeah,
of people
man,
do.
like
Yep.
Mhm.
yeah, I know down
People
here.
tell me all the time.
What I reckon y'all figure out y'all know what y'all talking about.
Mhm. I say
Yeah,
y'all, and people are like, "Oh, it's that girl with the Boston accent. She says ah for everything, but she says y'all." I'm like, "Oh,
I like the southern accents
me
the
too.
best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too." My nana was Southern, so she
Hmm.
sounded exactly like you. So it's like I could just picture her being like, "Oh, come on now," like yelling at us.
Hmm.
in my room. Well, the Navy veteran that I was
Hmm.
driving her car because Josh had seen the plates.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, she'd dang, man, lost my train of thought. Y'all had me on such a good train of thought. I just lost it. I'm getting old, man.
I was gonna say it happens. I did my first story on JDQ. I did it on Chris LaRoche. I did it on What's Your Story. Both times I bounced around, and it was like I'm like I don't even know if I told my entire story. I like went back and I replayed it, and I'm like I missed like so many chunks of my story. I was like, how, but it's you
Yeah,
get flustered, it's overwhelming. It's like you want to tell it all to the point that it's like you're trying to get it all out that it all
Hmm.
meshes together, you know.
I would say there's probably one piece of my story that probably made me more than anybody, and that was me learning up to stand up for myself. And there was this place called Cinecor in
Hmm.
Houston and Fort Worth. Uh, it, and those were mainly the only two facilities. There was one in Baton Rouge for a little while that was pretty big, but it was a therapeutic community.
Right.
So it was one of those, hey, go have a seat in the verbal chair, or hey, pull up on that, or hey, do this or that, or
Yeah.
you're gonna go scrub pots and pans for a weekend and
Right.
places like that. And I spent 6 years trying to stand up for myself against all the upper structure because they're always the cool people, they're never the nerds or the cool people or the guys like me, poor me. Uh, so I'd always, I finally made it that last fifth year. I made a house supervisor over like 200 people,
Right.
and that was probably the moment that I actually felt the most like, uh, I guess not at my peak, but I guess satisfied with myself that I'd actually accomplished something important because it
Yep.
did make a difference. I could make or break somebody's life in that program, and at that point, I felt responsible, and it made me think about, would I really all the times they treated me like that, am I going to turn around and do them the same way? And
Right.
eventually, I just blew up because I have serious anger issues that I don't pay attention to. So
Hmm.
I blew up and lost a job. And but that was a really good place. I would suggest if you do need some kind of recovery or 30-day or 60-day or long term, which is easier probably to get into, I would say some kind of therapy, cognitive behavior. It makes you
Right.
think differently. I wouldn't necessarily try to push the religion or anything. I would just go cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mhm.
It's just the way you look at things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I
think
don't know. That was a big thing for me.
it's huge. Like we were just saying this the other day. Maybe it was yesterday. I'm like, I never remember crap. But we were just saying this yesterday, like how much the mental piece plays. in, your recovery, everything. It's like so hard to get to that point where you're like, you have to be completely okay with yourself, be ready and on top of it, like be willing to, like, I do a gratitude list every night before I go to bed. I
Yeah, I'm
write
not
3
there
things
yet.
that I'm grateful for. And it could have just been, hugging my kids that day, or being in my own apartment, I mean, it's
That's
like,
a big one. Yeah.
right. It's like, things that for a while, it's like I would have taken completely like to a different direction and been like, well, I'm not in a house like I want to be, or married like I want to be, but now I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I'm married. Like, I
Yeah.
used to live under a bridge freaking shooting up dope from a muddy puddle. I didn't give a shit where I was getting the water from, whether it was a toilet, Mountain Dew, or a muddy puddle. I didn't care. I just needed to get high so I wasn't sick, you know um and then it's like, now I'm in my own place. Like, now I know to be appreciative, be proud of myself, be grateful. It took so much, like, it was mentally exhausting to get to that point, but I had to do the work, you know. And yeah, Terrence, it is a really good idea. It kind of gives you that chance to be thankful for what you do have, instead of wishing on things that you don't have yet that you want, it's like, instead of jumping yourself ahead, 10 years from now, it's putting me in the here and now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm able to be grateful. I have furniture in my house. When I moved in here, I did not. My friends were like, I got a couch for you. I got this for you. I'm like, frick yeah. Like,
Hmm.
no. you
I've
know.
Yeah,
been
yeah,
there.
I hear
Yep.
you. I'm only showing this back here because my sister gave that to me for
Yeah,
Christmas. Now I'm
right.
saying that because my sister hasn't talked to me in 10 years until last year. So that's, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like it's more like physical stuff can have more sentimental value than
Right.
any,
Yep.
just because like I mean, dang, having your own place and stuff like that. When you start seeing your name on your own paperwork and
Right.
like bills and stuff that are being paid consistently, like I go to a Monday night trivia at the Mexican restaurant
Yep.
where there's no alcoholic recovery thing. It's just church people. It's just my parents' old friends.
Yep.
They're older, so I mean I don't listen to lingo. Like I got caught in the lingo.
Yep.
So like learning how to live out in public with real people is weird for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
super weird for me trying to have a conversation with like even if I saw a lady that I liked,
Mm-hmm.
like me trying to go have like a regular conversation with that person is
Right.
almost impossible without saying somewhere at some point,
Yep.
yeah, you're going to notice I only have four real teeth and
Yeah.
I've had a 17-year crack addiction. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it makes it difficult. I think about all that too quickly.
Right.
I'm one of those. And
My
so,
head. Yeah.
yeah, that's scary. That I think about that. And it's like, man, I can't even have a conversation with a regular person.
Right.
And, and I can, I mean,
I was
but
gonna say, you can. You just got to be a
yeah,
little more comfortable and, confident in yourself too. Like, that you as a person aren't gonna be, you're not gonna be jumping to be an asshole. I think other than that, most people are pretty like accepting that, like, you're coming at me with like who you are.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
but see the I have I still suffer from my insecurity so bad because I was such a jerk that
Mhm.
I already think when I walk into somewhere, everybody's looking at me like, yeah, you're a
Right. Like they tell
crackhead.
you. Yeah.
You're the guy. I was like, no, I got teeth now, man, and
Right.
Hmm.
they're fake, but I got
Right.
Hmm.
teeth now, man.
Yep.
Feeling a little
They're
better
still
and
yours.
yeah, I feel a little better.
Mhm.
I'm good. I'm bigger now. Come
Right.
on, don't come at me like that.
Yeah.
But they have every reason to. And for
Um,
me, in my head, they have every reason to say that because of the way I did act. So
Right.
yeah, it does. Do I have any anxiety? Yes, and I do try. I got actually for that. The best thing I've found is I've got some Venom shin guards and some Venom 10-ounce gloves and a 80-pound body bag that I have that goes on the ground. The MMA bag that if
Mhm.
ever. So I tried doing that this morning, but man, this is a totally different kind of anxiety.
Yeah.
But going out in public and stuff, before I go out, I do try to work out,
Right. Yeah. I
especially
was
in the
gonna say,
morning.
that's what my brother does for his anxiety. He goes to the gym twice a day. Every morning he goes before work because he's a wicked health fanatic now to begin with. So, but he does it every evening when he comes home. Um, and if he gets into an argument, that's where he is right at his boxing bag. He's like, it calms me. He's like, I'm that kind of person. He used to go out and hit the tree. It's like, well, now you got to get he had to get skin graft done, and his knuckles were pushed back into the top of his hand because he hit the tree so hard. And I mean, it was just not fun for him. He used to be a pitcher, and the Red Sox was actually looking to scout him that year that he busted his hand. So he's like, "Yep, I apparently have all the luck," because they're like, "Oh, left-handed pitcher," like they're like, we, wanted to check him out, and they talked to the coach and everything, and he got really angry that week, fought with his girlfriend, and messed up his
Mm,
knee big time. So
mm.
he's like, "Now I use a punching bag," but he's like, "It still works."
Yeah, I seen variety hit that get on that. We've all made that mistake. Not quite
Mhm.
that extent, but we've made that
Right.
punch to a sheetrock to a brick wall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I really think my favorite is probably the speed bag I have out in the shop. The speed bag because you got to concentrate,
Hmm.
and it still takes muscle, but it still
Right.
takes cardio, but you got to concentrate too.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I totally forget about everything else because I have to concentrate on that.
Right.
So
That's a
I
good thing, though.
that's and I try not to video game too much because that's what I do. I do error reports for
Hmm.
video games.
Yep.
So I try not to sit there and do that. But anything I can focus on watching that's positive or something that'll, take me out of whatever it's at. That's what I try to do. And
Right.
it's definitely in my little gym, my home gym sort of thing that I've made. Got a little resist. I'm not a meathead by any sort. I just try, and if it gets to the point where I can't move that arm up anymore, I quit.
Right.
So I wrestled in high school and in college, but I'm not. I don't wrestle like you guys up there. I'm from Alabama, so I went to man. I went to Norfolk, Virginia once and wrestled some of y'all Massachusetts boys, and y'all are far superior in the boxing and wrestling ring.
I think it's mostly because everybody out this way just like fights naturally to begin with. There's some feisty motherfuckers out here.
Mm.
But like, I don't know. I guess to my story is like it's basically I was a spoiled brat that was an inconsiderate jerk that decided to smoke crack for 17 years. And
Yep.
at one point, I got so disgusted with myself that I decided to change. It was such a it's a pain that was so weird. Like I didn't want it wasn't a suicidal pain anymore. It wasn't a drug pain. It was like, man, dude, not a single person on this planet wants to talk to me.
Right.
That's a way worse feeling
Yep.
than ever,
I think
because
a lot of people just do it
I've
though.
had all that. I've done it
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
Anything to get attention from somebody, I've done it.
Yep.
Anything I've done to, take advantage of somebody, I've done it. And not necessarily proud of it,
Hmm.
but I hope one day I can make it up to them. And if I can't, man, I hope I can do it some way this way. Like I'm more of a behind the scenes guy with the tech stuff
Right.
and all that,
Good to
but
know.
man,
I may be harassing you soon. No.
Hey, that's all right. I mean, my schedule usually stays pretty free because I can work at any time. So it's
right?
because it's remote. So
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm like what I call a tech retard. I have no idea how to do anything. Like, I mean, I literally got on here the first time I had to have Edward come on, and like I had to give him all my passwords. I'm like, just get in there and tell me, how do I do this? Like, I don't even know how to log on. He's like laughing at me. He's like, are you signed on to the PP Mass Extra channel? And I was like, no, on my YouTube. He's like, I mean, you still gotta be on. He's like, okay, just let me get this stuff. So, I mean, thank God he helped me and figure it out. But I'm like, I cannot. I'm lucky I figured out anything with Discord, to be honest.
hey, man, Discord's kind of weird because I go to a couple Patreons and one of them will grant you access for so many out. It's Discord's not a very graphical user. The user interface is not very. But either way, that's not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm like,
Oh, one thing I did want to mention is that food eating you were talking about yesterday.
oh
That
God,
is a huge hobby of mine. That's a huge hobby of mine.
It's a hobby
The
for
hot
everybody.
food,
Yeah.
yeah,
the hot food, all that. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was when I'm doing good and taking advantage of stuff in Houston, I did the five alarm burger in Houston at Itty Bitty Bigger Barn. It was
yeah.
11 million Scoville. That was my first one. It was awesome. But I sent you the picture of me eating that 8-pound burger at Kooky Canucks.
Wow,
And
8
yeah,
pounds, huh? Jeez.
yeah.
I saw
It's in
Jay's
my.
burger yesterday, and I was like ready to like pass out looking at it. I'm like, that thing is huge, and you only ate half. Like, I would have thrown up from eating a bite. That thing is like so huge. I was like, I can't. Oh my God. I mean, I've always been little, my whole life too. So when I had gotten out of jail, I weighed 105, and I went in there weighing 134, 136, so um, I had lost so much weight, from, well, I should say it was before I started using, is when I weighed 134. But so it was like when I got out, my youngest daughter, she was in a 00 pants, and I was able to fit hers and still have room to put both my hands, one in front of the other, in front of the waistband. So I'm like, that is sad. Like, I literally walked out of that courthouse when they finally like released me. I was like, all I want is peanut butter M&Ms, a cigarette, and a real freaking bra. Like, I want a real bra. Like, this thing, what they give you is not working for me, But it was like, my God, it's like the little things you think of. I'm like, I just wanted like actual food, real coffee, But I finally like started to get my weight and stuff back up, like just when I left my ex, to be honest. Like, I was with him for 9 years, and had to deal with, the abuse and stuff from him. A lot was mental, like emotional abuse, but there was some physical abuse, and then towards the kids, which is why I actually had the balls to leave. So I've been away from him for 2 years, and in the 2 years that I've been back in my own place, like I finally started to be able to put the weight back on. So I'm now finally back to 135 and like, getting comfortable with myself. So I'm like, thank God, dude. It's like the stress from being with him, the not like I worked for the first year. We were yeah, the peanut butter M&Ms. We were together for the first year. I was the only one that worked. He didn't work. I bought all the, everything. After that, like when he started seeing people were hitting on me, like he just didn't, it was like a jealousy thing. I was not allowed to work. Like I had to ask for money for diapers. Like I lived with this man. So it's like, these are your whole ass children. I shouldn't even have to ask for this stuff. It should be brought home from work with you. Like if the kids would want to play when he'd come home from work, and it was instant like, I just got home from work. You're sitting down all day. You cannot even hug your kids before you walk in the door, and then you got to be that angry. Like, so I'm like, it's just so much more like calm. Like the kids are doing so much better. Like I'm able to
Yeah.
like, breathe and handle myself, not focusing on I got to get this done before he gets home so he doesn't get pissed off so I think it's helped me to be able to actually put on my weight that I needed to put on, being in the calmer mental state.
Well, see, like, I, I mean, you had to weed out some stuff that you didn't want to weed out, man. And
Yep.
that's a hard thing to do. And I can tell, like, some people don't have an issue with that.
Right.
I I can see old good old variety be the first one to tell you, man, kick rocks. but
Yep.
not a lot of us do. Like I would be the kid in frat. I would be the guy at the frat party that would buy the kegs to get to have single serving friends for an hour and a half.
Yep.
I would be the guy that would make sure everybody else had the drugs before I did. So I would have the friends for an hour and a
Right.
half. And then when
Yep.
it ran out, I had to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, uh, I understand. I get that, man. It's like, at least, I guess this whole start over for me is at least I don't have to do the weeding. I kind of already did it for myself.
Right. I mean, it's good though. Like it's like I say, like, 'cause my daughter's like, does it make you feel like crap not having people around? Like I literally don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I'm a homebody. I don't have very many people that like I actually call. Like there are people in my life that I know I could call if I needed something, and I'd have 6 carloads of people here in a heartbeat. But it's like, would I call them and feel okay with putting whatever weight, I'm mentally dealing with at the time? Like, do I want to put that on them? No, I don't, because I genuinely care about them. So I'll sit
Right.
and let it just sit on me. But this past year, I think I just started, um, the ones that are like, oh, well, call me anytime. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Never call them, but this past year, I just started to do that, started feeling like, okay, I'm letting other people do it to me, because I know how much it weighs to carry everything on your own. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have to know that it's okay to do that for myself, you know. But it's been helpful, at least the last year. It's helped me feel a hell of a lot more better, like, more self-confident, and I'm able to get through the day without freaking out, like, oh my God, I need 5 minutes to breathe. So it can be hard to like call people, I think, and a lot of people say they feel the same way. It's like, I don't want to put, my burdens on somebody else. It's like, but we need that. We
Yeah.
need, you need to have, it doesn't matter if you have just like a friend, someone you rarely talk to, you know what I mean? Like you have to have someone. And that's why like we were like, this is going to be a really good idea.
It
Every week,
is. It really
you
is.
gives people a place to go where it's judgment free, but you're finding other people that have been through some of the same shit you've been through, you know, without feeling like, okay, well, I gotta talk to, before it was like, I'd only talk to my mom, you know? It's like, Jesus, like I need people, like other people that's been through it, to talk to, you know what I mean? It's different to talk to people who've been through what you've been through or close to it. It just makes it easier to open up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm definitely not the biggest fish. Uh,
Yeah.
I just like to use that one time in 2011. That's kind of my. I guess everybody's got their go-to.
Mhm.
That was kind of like my peak of the darkness.
Yep.
It took about a good 4 years before I ever mentioned anything, even about in my past, to anybody, like for
Mhm.
that to even come up, because they mentioned the rape case in my therapy, 2011. So we got to talking about that, and then that brought up, David, and I didn't even think about that. So I mean, like the
Right.
things that are going on behind the scenes that I have no idea what JDQ is doing. I don't
Mhm.
know, But whatever it is, man, I wanted it immediately made me want to be a part of whatever it is y'all are doing,
Right.
because that man, if I don't know if I would even have put myself in any kind of that kind of position to do it, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
to get my dope if I hadn't have. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. We ain't got, I mean, do I gotta say it? You know what I mean? I mean, I will if I have to, but it's real talk. It is what it is.
And I mean, like I said, that's why I said,
Because
like,
I was already comfortable with it,
right.
and I
And
had been
like
since I
I
was
said,
8 or 9.
my thing was always like, I mean, that's why I was stupid enough to get arrested because I was doing it so often. But doing the B&Es, it's like I had to do something to get money to be able to get what I needed. I was afraid to go back home. My mom kept begging me to come home. She's like, please, like just stop, like come home, be with your girls, and it's like I was embarrassed to come home because I knew I wasn't ready. I'm like, I was literally having so much fun. I don't want to come home. Like, and she's like, you're literally destroying yourself, you know? Um, and it's like, I mean, I've spent so much time in my head overthinking, you know? So it's like all the stuff from my past, like the rapes, everything, just I left it sitting in my brain and thinking about it constantly. And it's like, it was my excuse to continue to get high, you know? Being in the pain with my discs and everything. It's like I just needed to get out of my head and be okay with who I was gonna be not using.
Yeah, and that's the hardest part. I mean, and they said it 1,000 times, and it really didn't register till this time. Is when you take away the drugs,
Right. What do you
you're
got?
left with the mess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it isn't. I didn't really ever think that mental health would be an issue with that,
Right.
but because I always thought mental health was. I'm not going to say the stigma because I'd been to therapists. I'd done all that. I thought mental health was just a crock of crap, just
Right.
straight up.
Yep.
This therapist, the psychiatrist, take that garbage somewhere, man. Y'all $120 an hour don't know crap about nothing except how to make money and go home and worry about it. And
Mhm.
that's really not the case.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause some of
Now they
them-
might make that much money, but they do care.
right.
I don't think they could really do that job for very long if they didn't. You
Right.
know what I mean? That would I don't know. They
I
might
told
be
my
able to if they're
I tell my
completely cold
therapist
hearted, but
I tell my therapist because I see her every week, and I'm like, I know that you must need a therapist to be my therapist. So
Mm.
it's like, if you do, I won't be upset with you. I think you should. And she just laughs at me because she's like, to be honest, when I leave out of here, I'm just like, oh man, like I should probably make an appointment. I'm like, I freaking love
just
you.
reoccurring Fridays at 9 a.m.
Yeah. She's hilarious. Like she has been through stuff, so it's like it helps because I've never had a therapist like her, and I've been with her for 3 years. She was with me for a year while I was with my ex, and she used to beg me to leave. So she helped me in the process of leaving, and she's been with me since, and she's just been like insanely sweet. She tells me stuff about that what she's been through, and I think it makes it easier. It makes it more like it's more personal for me. It's like having
Yeah,
a
yeah.
conversation with a friend and not a therapist.
Well, when you continue with the same one consistently, you get
Right.
that kind of relationship. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
kept bouncing around and bouncing around and bouncing around. Then, like when you only talk to a doctor 2 times, you're not going to know anything about you.
Right.
So
Yep.
I consistently stayed, even after this one blip. I stayed with the same lady, but I told her,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so we can work on it. And the I kind of shocked myself as far as like consistently staying with it because I told myself I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I have, maybe if I just stick to what I those 30 days in rehab and all that, or they do that on purpose. They do the same thing over and over and over and over and over for 30 days to teach you to go home to do the same thing over and over and over for the rest of your life. And
Right.
and some, basically wake up, pray, make your bed, be a good dude the rest of the day, pray and go to bed.
Yep.
And that I wasn't doing any of that.
Right.
I wasn't making my bed. I wasn't praying. I wasn't being a good dude. I wasn't, praying again, and I
Mhm.
wasn't going to bed. I
Yep.
was just, getting on Twitter and, harassing some dude on internet wrestling community, or
Right.
doing something to get jacked up and make me feel good about myself. This dude's, lower than I am,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
but,
I think a lot of
and,
people like that.
and, I'm just to the point where I just really hope that I could just continue to keep saying over and over and over again. It's just don't quit. Like
Hmm.
if you only got 30 days and you've never known what anything past 30 days looks like, well, guess what? Tomorrow you will.
Right.
Tomorrow you will. Tomorrow you'll know what day 31 feels like. Did I know what 2 years felt like at day one? No.
Right.
But do I care anymore? No, because I quit worrying about the time. I just worried about today. And
Exactly.
I do worry about this weekend a little bit because I know I'm going to a wrestling thing on my own. I'm going to a WWE house show, and so
Nice.
what did I do? I set up an appointment with my therapist that Friday morning. Okay, if somebody asked me about anxiety, well, I don't really know all that kind of stuff. I'm more of like a C plus plus kind of guy. So when you start using those terms, like I don't know, man, but I guess that kind of fits the bill in that case because I set up a therapist appointment for tomorrow morning because
Yep.
I knew this weekend I had a big, big, big weekend.
Right.
And, I want to tell her all the things that have been going on this week, what's been going through my head and what's going through my head now,
Hmm.
you know?
Yep.
So,
That'll be good
and
though.
it's still the same thing. Are these people going to look at, me like as a crackhead, or am I just a paying customer fan like the rest of them?
Well, I can tell you that us in this stream are not.
Man, because none of y'all going to be
We
watching
all
wrestling.
we all literally I grew up on wrestling, and my friend Brian is like, oh my god, he's insane about wrestling. He's like, even is getting his Halloween costume. He's been doing it for the last 2 years, for one of the wrestlers. But he goes to every WrestleMania that he can go to. He's been to several SmackDowns, and like he'll call me and just rant about it, and I'm like, I don't even watch wrestling anymore. Like I don't know anything about it anymore. Like I knew like when like it was Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant,
Yeah.
like you know. But he's like, I don't care. I need somebody to talk to about it. I'm excited. So
Man, I need to see like that. See, now I've connected to enough. See, like I could get that dude's phone number, talk his ear off. Like,
yeah,
hey, SummerSlam's going to be in Nashville, so why don't you come down from Massachusetts and
right,
and burn your skin off
right, yeah, and that
because
people love it.
Nissan Stadium in the middle of August in Nashville is going to be hot.
Hey, I bet. I can't even imagine how it would be then. I literally went to Tennessee. Um, right before COVID started. I had just came back like March 4th, I think, from Tennessee. There was like a huge tornado. I mean, it was bad. We
Yeah,
almost
I
didn't
remember
even
that.
get to
Yeah.
come home. Yeah. So, it wasn't hot. It was like, it was pretty nice weather. I was like, okay, I could take this. And my friend Shannon's like, in the summer, probably not. She's like, that's why I got a pool.
Yeah, it gets pretty humid. Yeah, it's super humid. But man, so I know I really didn't tell too much of the story. We just kind of just went off beaten path. But man, is any other questions or anything that
Yeah, you guys can ask questions if you want.
for
But yeah,
y'all can tell I'm already fried, so it's okay. Just ask me a question.
you're like, oh, freaking out. But yeah, you do bounce around. I tell everybody, that tells their
Hey,
story first time, you're gonna bounce around. It's not, you know,
Well, I'm one of those that would either do that or I'm gonna have this. I had a notebook that was already filled with a bunch of stuff that I
Oh,
didn't,
there you go.
like I just couldn't go down the list though. It just didn't feel right. I don't know.
Right. It feels rehearsed. Like
Yeah, and
almost like yeah, like I almost did the same thing too. I wrote notes like little, key points like don't forget to talk about or remember to tell that, and it's like I just I couldn't. So it's like once I started going with my story, I'm like, oh, it makes you think of some other, part of your life that kind of relates to the one you're talking about. So you just bounce around, you know. It makes it hard, but at least you get to you can open up in the way you're comfortable,
yeah. I mean, at least you got the authentic me. I
right,
mean, you didn't get a rehearsed Carl. You got the normal one you would try to talk to, but have a
right,
hard time to because I bounce all over the place. So
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but
So
um
I
I'm
put it
happy
in the
with it.
chat. So I put it in the chat for questions. That's why, we haven't been putting anything up. We were just going to put up questions for Carl. But Carl, so crack was your drug of choice for 17 years. Did you dabble in anything else, or was that like your main thing?
Towards the end, the
Yeah.
past two times was
Mm,
meth because I couldn't get crack.
mhm.
mm,
Terrible around here for real. But
yeah.
before that, no man, heroin and stuff like that. No, I had a bad wrist surgery, and when I was like 16, I wrestled with a broken wrist and had it all torn up, and I got super sick on opiates.
Yeah.
So that kind of at an early age, I was turned off from opiates. Like I could take a half of 5 milligram Lortab now and throw up everywhere.
Right.
So
I know people like
it
that.
never appealed to me. I'd rather be up than down,
Yeah.
except for real weed, and I can't get that here, so I just don't.
Right. Now it's not legal in Alabama.
Nothing is.
Well, yeah.
That's a shame. Should be everywhere.
I
Yeah, I
know.
think so. Yeah, because if
Hmm.
I could do the Delta 8 or the weed or whatever, man, like I mean, I did do it for a while, for at least a good year and a half. But right now, I haven't. I don't know.
Right.
Uh, I promote it. I
Yeah.
sorry.
I think it helps
It
so
help.
many people.
I'll promote subs too.
Mhm.
If it helps you, if it helps you, do it. Whatever gets your life better, man. I don't think a little vape pen with some Delta 8 juice in it is going to change your life to the point of maybe drinking a 6 pack and getting behind a 2,000 pound bullet. You
Right.
know, there's a
Absolutely.
big difference. It's usually
Yeah.
it's
That's okay.
it may be fried, but it's still there.
That's like we were saying yesterday. I forget who in chat said it yesterday, but we were talking about alcohol, like how bad it is, the addiction to alcohol, and you know, and that's legal. Like you
Yeah,
literally could go around the corner and get a bottle in a heartbeat, and it's fine as long as you're 21, you know.
Hmm.
But it's like most places have an issue with weed, or it's like what the hell? Like, some of these people just want to calm down. Some people have anxiety, or you know what I mean? Like, it's so insane. Like, it just boggles my mind how, you know, you can get to that point where alcohol's okay. Like, I've seen what it did to most of my family. My brother
it's
has
ugly.
serious residual problems from his alcohol abuse. He went to a program and he has, my sister has neuropathy, my brother does, and his hands,
Yeah.
from the nerve damage, his hands, like he could be in mid drive in the car or whatever on the highway, and his hands will just, they lock up and he can't turn the wheel. He has to like try to lift his hands off
Yeah.
the wheel and use his wrists to turn the wheel to pull over until it passes. He gets
Mm.
serious heart problems. I mean, it's insane, you know. But it's like it's crazy that that's legal, and they shame on weed. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
has vices. Look at me with these things, these vapes. I mean,
Yeah,
shit, I'm pulling on this thing every 20 seconds.
yep. Me too.
you
Yeah.
know?
I literally keep it below the camera. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm just gonna sit here and
I
be.
just hadn't
Yeah.
put a dip in because I'm not used to it with my new teeth. So,
Yeah. Right.
you
Yep.
know, like everything seems like perfect. Like I got a groomed haircut and the teeth are white, and I'm like, yeah, but a lot of it's fake. I only have 4 teeth.
Right.
So I mean,
Yep.
where I get that blurred line of like what what people think of me and what they actually think of me,
Right.
or what. So it's that I think that's probably one of my biggest insecurities that I've had to work on, and that's what brings anxiety, I guess, for me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Failure, constant fear of failure, being a failure,
Yep.
because well, I brought those results upon myself.
But yeah, exactly. See, I was always like
Um,
just afraid of
well,
disappointing everybody.
why do you feel like a failure? Because I was teaching y'all to treat me like a failure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Like I used to, my fear was like just disappointing everybody because that's one thing I was really good at was disappointing everybody, in a
I'd
heartbeat.
rather people get mad
You
at me than
know?
disappoint
And
me.
right. Exactly. I'm like, can I'd rather you yell at me, you know?
Hmm.
But it's like, once you start disappointing especially the people in your life that genuinely give a shit about you, you
Hmm.
know, it's like, well, damn, like, not how do I take that and process that? Like, what, you know?
Right.
So that is huge. I feel like having to worry about how other people feel about you was a big thing. Not even so much how other people viewed me. I didn't really give two shits. I'm like, if you don't like me, don't look at me. You know, but
Some people are like that. Yeah.
right. But it's like emotionally, like, if I cared about somebody and I thought I disappointed them, like I went on a complete self-sabotage, like bender, like, just was like mentally destroyed myself. Took a lot to like get to a point where I'm just like, I don't care. As long as I'm doing what I need to be doing and I'm okay with myself and what I'm doing and I know how hard I've worked, to get there, then I don't really give two shits, you know.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot out of you to
Well, also, I think the time that we've had in between, the long period of time that we've had since it was so devastating,
hmm
that it that you can't explain it to people. They
right.
just got to do it, and they got to do their own way. And like the lady yesterday, I think in the chat, I just came to check it out because I hadn't actually watched anything until yesterday, and I
Yep.
just came to check it out for a minute. And the lady yesterday said, about something about she had just had 30 days, and she was using Suboxone or subs or something. And I was
Yep.
like, well, good.
Right.
Great. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Congratulations. Man, like some people don't make it. So, yeah, congratulations, young lady. I know you got some, I think she had a couple of children
Yep.
because it was, and she does, hey, there's something else to grab onto, something good to grab to,
Right.
you know?
Absolutely.
Mm,
It's like I think too many people like, whatever paths they choose in their process of recovery, I feel like you go to certain meetings, and whether there's people there or, the type of meeting itself, they shame people for things. You know what I'm saying? So once you get that feeling like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, and you're first in recovery, that's it. You're literally in your head. You start wondering if you're good. Should I say this to people? Do I tell people I'm on Suboxone? Do I tell people it's like, fuck yeah, you should
well,
be
there you go, hiding again.
right.
See, now
It's
you're
like,
just hiding, and
yeah.
now you're hiding within the hiding place.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so,
Because
I mean,
I thought I was doing it wrong when I first got clean the first time in 2010. I graduated my residential treatment program. I got out and I was still on methadone, and I went to my first NA meeting, and the first one out when I was out, and they were like, oh, like I could hear, people talking about methadone and how it's not okay to be on it. Like when you come out of a program, you should be off everything. Like I mean, I was in my head, then I was told, yeah, like NA believes like a drug is a drug is a drug. I'm like, really? I'm like,
Well,
but I didn't want to tell anybody, at the time I was on methadone, like was freaking out. And I called my friend. She'd just gotten out of hers, and she's like, go to a AA meeting. Like
yeah.
they didn't shame me for anything. I go every week. I went to 2 meetings, and they were very accepting. They were extremely nice. Like they didn't care. I was
It
on
depends where
methadone.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
For AA, it really depends where you go.
Well, they were very nice to me, and like I said, meetings themselves just aren't for me. You know,
Yeah.
I can't sit in a group with people like feeling like the whole room's staring at me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get wicked anxious, and I'm like, I gotta leave the room, like that hyperventilating, like can't breathe type anxiety.
I'm the
So
same way. Yep.
right. So I
Mm-hmm.
just stopped going, but I started taking some of the skills that I learned at the program, to
Yeah. The
doing them at
spiritual
home.
principles behind it are
Yeah.
fantastic idea. I mean,
hmm
yeah. To be
That's what I got
honest,
the
and
gratitude
and
system.
all that. Yeah.
And I stay honest with people because I just don't give a shit. It's like, I mean, realistically, it's especially, it's like you're gonna have to know me for me. So if I'm not honest, you ain't gonna know. You know what I mean? So if I'm not truthful, then you're liking me for something that you think I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be
Yeah.
honest
And
and
that's something
know
that you
what
don't need in your life to begin with.
right.
I mean, if I have to hide anything about it, if I can't go in there, regardless of what they think,
hmm
I mean, I don't know. I just got an issue with it now, just because his court systems are involved and everything else. It's not the traditions don't matter,
Right.
and I guess that's kind of when the traditions don't matter, then nothing else really does either.
It makes it hard.
So it makes it harder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to discourage anybody because I've seen many, 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 many people go in there first time, catch it, walk out, and never touch anything ever again.
Right.
Dude, for those people that do that, my hat is off to you. Keep
Oh,
doing your thing.
yeah.
That was not me.
Yeah. And
um,
everybody's different, you know?
yeah, but and I know they probably lit you up like a Christmas tree, but I
Yeah.
would have went in there and punched their lights out one by one. But
Right. Yeah.
I just I don't know. I have that issue with some gas station clerk telling me that I can't have Suboxone, but some dude that's been a doctor for 25 years, who's got a medical residential treatment, he
Mm-hmm.
says different.
Otherwise, yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's the reality of it too. I think,
and it's kind of hard not to say that without being an asshole.
right. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
because I mean,
you know, and again, it's literally that's for you though too. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, everybody is different. Like, and we always say that, not what works for one person may not work for the next. You know what I mean? What you believe in, the next person might not believe in. Like I don't genuinely like believe like in God. I'm not spiritual like that. Like I don't believe in like God. I believe in a higher power. I definitely think someone somewhere was freaking looking out for me when I was, on the fentanyl patches and, all them perks and oxys and everything. Like I, for some reason, did not overdose. I, for some reason, did not die. So I'm like, for whatever reason, someone was looking out for me. So I absolutely believe that there's a higher power, but there's limits on it. You know what I mean? Um, and a lot of people don't believe in any of it. They're just like, 100%, we do the work, you know. But it's like, to me, it's like there was some kind of force that just wasn't about to let me go, I guess. I was here, been stuck around for a reason. So, you know, but like Jake keeps
yeah,
telling me, he's like, I think this was the reason. Like you were supposed to be here.
yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like
Mhm.
the terrible stuff that's like there's all this works out to the glory of something. I
Right.
don't know what, who, or where, but
Yep.
I've seen too much good and I've seen too much bad. There's a
Yep.
reason for something bad happening. There's a reason for something good happening.
Yep.
And a lot of it is perspective. Okay, yeah, so I messed up for 12 hours. Well, look at all the benefits that have come out of it since. Okay, I've got a doctor, a psychiatrist now that got me on some stuff. I weigh 25 pounds more. I feel better. I talk better. Everybody, people at trivia were wanting to be around me, talk to me, all this stuff by
Right.
just changing my perspectives on some things.
Yep.
And it was that simple, and it was hard. It really was hard to really just say, "Look, dude, you just got to quit being a prick. You ain't right."
Right.
And that
Being
was
an
hard.
asshole doesn't get you far in life. So,
Mm-mm.
it's good that you like got.
I think somebody told me the word I don't diplomacy.
Mm,
Kind of like when I was saying that about like I would go to an NA group and be like, "Look, you're a gas station clerk. Who are you to tell me?" I would be one
right.
of those guys. You can't do that to people. You just can't. You can't cut their legs out from under them. It's
Right.
wrong.
Yep.
And I wouldn't see it that way. I thought of it was like, I'll get you before you get me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, and we never know like what they are dealing with and why they're being assholes.
Yeah, man. Like
Realistically.
my 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 little problem of like I ain't got enough money to go do whatever I want, but this dude
Mm-hmm.
just he won't tell nobody, but he's got cancer on his tailbone or something.
Right. Yep. Yep.
It's they do, and that happens a lot more than you think. Like I
Oh,
didn't
no, I
realize it,
believe
man.
it.
A lot of people are uh
Mm-hmm.
when my little problems
Right.
just don't match up to theirs. And
Yep.
there I am again, old Carl.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know who I said it to, I think a couple weeks ago. Um, but it's like, would so for you to be like, well, my little problems don't match up to theirs. You say they're little problems, but for you, they are actual, like, they're serious
Right,
problems, big problems. You know what I mean? They may seem little to other people, or you may think people might think it's a little problem, but everybody goes through something, and it's always a big problem for us
right.
ourselves, you
Yeah.
know? Um, so I always tell people, just don't minimize what you've been through, just to appease anybody, you know, at all.
No. No,
Mm.
and I wouldn't say minimize it, but there does have to come to a point where you just have to let everything go.
Yep.
Let it all. I mean, and how do you do that? I kept asking people, how do you do that? How do I let it go? What do you mean let it go? It's you hear it at church, you hear it in the groups, you hear it in whatever room you want to pick. Oh, just let it go. Well, how do you do that? Well, it takes physical action to let things go. You
Yeah.
literally physically have to do different things
Right.
to
Yeah.
let some of that stuff go. Like I
Yeah.
had to plan my day from start to finish.
Right.
Now that my day is from start to finish, I'm not sitting somewhere thinking about these negative thoughts or this negative stuff or I'm not, pondering. I don't have Facebook anymore because I just got on there so much arguing with the political people that
Yep.
it just didn't make sense anymore.
Right. Yep. It
You
just
know?
adds stress to your day.
Yeah, it's seven
Yeah.
percent inflation. So what? What are you going to do about it?
Right. It's like, I can't. Yeah. Yep.
Nothing.
I mean, I think too, like a part of it is, I mean, yeah, you definitely got to let some of it go, but it's also learning to live with some of it,
Yeah.
like for forgiving some of what you've been through, like forgiving yourself for, what you put yourself through. Um, I feel like a lot of the times some of us can forgive but not forget, but it doesn't mean it has to sit on your mind 24/7, you know. It makes the burden so much heavier to carry, if you're thinking about it all the time, you know. It's kind of hard to get up and function when you have that kind of weight on you. So it's like, I mean, that's how I was able to like process through like all the sexual traumas I've been through, you know. It is so hard to get up and be like, wanting to scrub myself down, like, to the point of bleeding, because I'm thinking about it and I'm in my head over it. It's like, I don't need to get up and be like that every day. I just want to get up and, spend time with my kids, actually be present with my kids and focus on what today brings as opposed to what yesterday had in it. So
Right.
you can, Danny. It'll take time, but you know what I mean? You can forgive yourself. Just
Yeah.
gotta
Who
do
said
it.
that? Who said that? Danny.
Danny, yeah, she said I've been trying to forgive myself.
Hey man, quit trying. Just do it.
Mhm.
For real. I'm for real. It's literally that's how some of this stuff starts. It happened. I can't take away. I can't take away that truck hit me in the middle of the street. That
Right.
happened. Trust me. I'll walk. I already had a neck twitch, but now I walk funny too.
Right.
So uh,
They could just help
eh,
you get a gangster
yeah.
walk.
But also also man, like I don't want to downplay that for you, dude. Like for real.
Right.
I'm not gonna say like man, those 2 years that I like, it's not even about the sobriety or the recovery process is that in what you're doing, man. And I just want to at least applaud you for
Yeah.
trying to begin with. But
Oh
man,
yeah.
just
Huge.
yeah, you can you don't have to try. You can. You
Mhm.
can. You can.
Yeah.
And this sounds crazy. This sounds crazy. If you live somewhere or know somebody or something, that smokes, go buy them a pack of cigarettes. Go buy them their pack of cigarettes.
Right. Yeah.
Little things like that, dude. Like when somebody would show up with a can of Copenhagen long cut, extra long cut, like
Yeah.
when I was in rehab or something, hey man, come here for a second. And they just, kind of do one of those over the door, out the window. Here's a can of dip, bro. Here, take it. I'd love that. Uh,
Right.
and you can feel that in other people when you do something that you know that they care about. And forgiving myself, man, I started doing little things like that. I started with a mom, and dad, and then it had Karen, the roommate, and
Right.
then I started like literally I would go on Twitter and just find somebody miserable or had 0 likes, or go
Right.
on Twitch. Go on Twitch, find somebody, like sometimes that's their outlet. People will go on Twitch as their outlet to try to find somebody to talk to. Go
I
find the
didn't even know
people,
what Twitch
go
was.
find those go find those people with zero watchers.
Yeah.
Dude, that'll change their whole life. You just gave them somebody to talk. You don't even have to give them any money.
Right.
Just go watch them for 5 minutes. Give them your
Right.
undivided attention for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is literally helps me be able to find peace. I don't know if I could forgive myself for something that I've
Right.
done, but I know I can find peace within myself for doing new things.
Yeah.
I like
Right.
doing new things.
Yeah. It's always good to try new things too.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like it's another way of keeping your mind occupied. You know what I mean? Trying something new. I made my daughter. She just got out of like 5 months ago or whatever. She just got out of she was in the hospital for trying to hurt herself. So um, she was like, I don't know how to process any of this. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. But I told her too, like, because she's been through sexual traumas.
She got a phone call coming in. It'll go
Yeah,
off.
I was gonna say it was my cousin again. But she'd been through sexual traumas too, so she just has
Mm.
never processed it. And then her father um committed suicide, so she has a lot to process. So she's
Yeah, if there's a strong trauma,
right.
definitely go see a mental health specialist. And if you can't find one, hit me in the link, hit me in the script,
Mhm.
hit me in the chat afterwards. I will. That is something I can do. I can find any kind of mental health facility to help in
Mhm.
the nation. There's Centerstone down in Tennessee. There's Pocket, in and out of Pockets. There's all kinds of stuff, man. A lot of it's free depending on where you live.
Right.
It's just you may have to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, because of COVID, everything's still so backed up. That's what I like. I've been helping a lot of people trying to find like, if they need placement, like, for rehabs. My friend's a sober specialist and she works at a facility. So she's like, I got no problem like typing in whatever area they're at and, finding a bed. Just let me know. So we've been literally going to town just trying to help people because there's so many people that are struggling and they're like, I can't get help. I can't. There's nothing open. And it's like, sometimes they're like, I don't know if I really have the time to look. It's like, are you ready though? Because like we could find you a bed. If you're not
Yeah.
ready, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? Um, but there was a girl who just got out like a month ago, and she had messaged me and my friend Midget. She's like, "Oh my God, you guys!" She's like, "I feel like literally like a brand new person. Like they literally gave me so many skills in there." She's like, "I couldn't have found a better place to go." So it was just really cool to see that she was happy and content, and was
I'm
like,
glad
"I
to hear
should have
that.
did
Yeah.
this sooner." It's like don't fret on when you should have did it. Be grateful you did.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of where
Mhm.
that's exactly what I'm trying to it is in this whole process. Yeah, there's going to be some traumatic things, but if you're planning on visiting your trauma today at 2 p.m. just because you
Right.
feel like visiting your trauma today at 2 p.m., that's
Yep.
on you.
Mhm.
You know, you can find the outlets to do that. And hey, this is one of them, man. I mean, for
Right.
real, if somebody sent a message on YouTube and said, "Hey, I need somebody to talk to," one of us, because we've already chat down there, so we're going to get the notification on a reply on a chat,
Right.
so that you're going to kill that right off the bat. Two, our
Yep.
phones are always on us,
Yep.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll put a chat down in there, and they can attack me. I'll listen to them. I will. I got some time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
that's
the
good.
thing
Yeah,
that I
definitely
found
comment
is
on
is that's the two things is people need and want the most is your time and money.
it. Right.
And sometimes they need it.
Right.
And
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that'll be good too. Like, when we end it, I'll make like a community post. Um, and then you can just put like your Instagram name or something and let them know if anybody wants to talk or whatever. You can always do that.
right.
I think it helps a lot of people to know that there are so many different people they can talk to if they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's needed sometimes for sure. That's true, Danny. There are teleconferences. Yeah. I just actually learned about it's called Pocket Rehab. It's like a thing on your phone. I don't know if I think it's an app, they said, but it's like an app or whatever. If you're, trying to get therapy or get into rehab or whatever, it's a whole an app it literally offers so much crap. I'm like, I gotta look into that today and see what the hell
Yeah.
it's all about. Because if it's something that's cool, that'll be something else good to offer
For
people. You know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's good, Barb. Barb said listening to other stories helps a lot for me.
I
Well,
think it does
I know
for
I didn't tell
everybody.
you. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Like yeah. Next time I probably will go through the A, B, and C's. But
It happens.
I don't know, man. Just me being able to know that I came out on the other side and I was
Mhm.
ungrateful for it for so many years afterwards.
Yeah.
Mm, I'm just glad to be alive, really. And it's
Absolutely.
and I am. I say that a lot of people, I've heard that for years. Oh, everybody, you're glad to be alive. You're glad to be here. Yeah. No, for once,
Like
I'm
we
actually
are.
glad to be alive for real.
Right.
Yeah. Today's a great day. I woke up this morning, man, thinking about this. Had my coffee. We chatted it up. I took a shower.
Mhm.
We're doing this. Tennessee plays next. Then I got another live Zoom with something else with work later on tonight. That's big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, life does get better. It does get better.
Yeah. That is so true. You're so sweet, Kenzie.
So Carl, what's your
Says we're
current
glad you asked.
status now? Like clean wise, how long you been clean? Are you single? Are you with somebody? Like what's been going on with you like recently?
Well, that one nighter was 3 weeks ago. I think,
Okay.
like I said, I before that I had 2 years. Not that it really matters. I got about 7 hours, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it these days, man. Just if
Mhm.
I wake up, I woke up.
Right.
But I am single. I'm 37. Uh, it took me 27 in treatments. I went to in treatment 27 times, and that's from Salvation Army up. I mean, I've done it all. From I never went to the first time I ever had health insurance though was the time I went to this hospital, and it was a mental health hospital. So I never went to the really nice places like Betty Ford or a 30 day or anything. It was always one of those where you had to work where you stayed.
Yep.
So that's what I was always a year at a time. I was gone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, I'm single. I'm 37. I am divorced from 2006. Uh, I have an associate's in software development that I just got.
Mm.
So,
Nice.
and what were the other ones? You had a few other questions.
Any kids? No
No,
children? Okay.
no. And I got lucky with that. I would have been the worst dad ever. Those kids
Okay.
would have been like in terrible condition. Their mother would have hated me. So,
Yeah. I never got
yeah, I'm
married
glad. I'm
either,
kind of glad.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got married, but I never got married, but I had a kid. You're the
Right. He's like, I was
opposite,
the
you know.
opposite.
Yeah, I was the opposite. So, yeah.
I kind of wish I would. It does. That is one thing that has kind of got me. Like I guess because everybody my age does have kids, and they're usually like grown up,
Right.
and so I don't know. It's kind of hard to ask another 38-year-old old woman with a 37-year-old, 36-year-old to say,
Hmm.
"Hey, I know you've got a 16-year-old, but would you be willing to have another kid with me before your time clock runs out?"
Right.
You know, I
That is
mean,
true. It wouldn't feel like, yeah. I mean, but my brother did it. His fiance, I think she was just turned 40 when they had their first daughter together. Like she has two other daughters. But they had their first daughter together, and so he's now a grandpa. But
Well, the woman's clock is the one that ticks,
right,
a
yeah,
well, that's
guy
what I
could
mean.
have,
Like she
yeah.
was in her 40s. She had to go to the doctors every 2 weeks because she was
Hmm.
older, to
Yeah.
make
well,
sure that the baby's fine.
also,
But
this is that they've already had kids. Like, you're not
right,
gonna meet a single mother when you're 37. I mean, you're not gonna meet a single 37-year-old female
right.
without kids. You're not.
It happens. It's
I
rare,
mean,
but it
There's a
you
few
happens.
might.
out there. Yeah.
Right.
There's yeah. Let me get the stars
Right.
are aligned out there somewhere. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they probably already have a 14 or 15-year-old, and they sure don't want to go through a 9-month pregnancy. Just
Right.
I don't know. Maybe
Oh my.
some do,
Look
some
at
do.
Jules. Her
Yeah.
daughter was what,
Yeah, with
16?
Jules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was ready to kick my ass too, because I
Yeah.
literally went into labor on the night of her 16th birthday party. So
Hmm.
yeah. She's
I
like, "Are
miss
you
that part.
freaking
Yeah.
kidding me?"
It's rare, but it does happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, in
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Alabama, down here in Alabama, we just have our cousins and sisters. So I
You're
mean,
like gonna have to meet somebody out of state.
yeah, yeah.
Start like,
Abs- yep.
traveling. At least you'll get out and see the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know? That's what I'd be doing. Like, so who out of state?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. Danny
How
texted
long
me.
were you how long were you married for, Carl? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask that.
okay. So we were high school sweethearts. We had dated from since we were 14. So we were married for
Hmm.
a year and a half. But we'd been together. We went to school together, lived there together. We'd
Yeah.
actually lived together before we got married. So that was the weird part. But
Right.
it was
Yeah.
about let's see, 14, 15, 2005. I graduated in 2003. So 5, 6 years. 6 years we were together, but a year and a half we were married.
Nice.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
when I went to school and started drinking, and then came home and then commuted and tried to work and tried to drink.
Hmm.
Yeah, that.
Just takes over. Yeah.
Yeah, especially I'm one of those dudes that'll drink 2 beers and
Mhm.
can't walk, and 3 beers I'm speaking alien.
Yeah.
So I
Speaking
mean,
alien.
it's not even worth it.
You're right. Yep. That's like, I say I'm one of those people, like, I can't do any of it. Like I could have a drink every now, like some wine or whatever, and alcohol was never my thing because I saw what it did to my family. But that's half why, like, my girls were never went through like the situation of like being addicted to drugs, and most of my family's like, nah, we stay away from that shit. We saw what it did to Jules. No, I don't want none of that.
It's crazy. Crazy is in so many restaurants we've worked in, all of us have. We had to, or construction or whatever. But I worked in restaurants making tips and all that because I needed my cash. So after so many times making that kind of money and getting that stuff, but I would be busting tables and I'd be like, man, this bar back smells fucking terrible. It smells
Yeah.
freaking terrible, man. How do they drink this all the
Mhm.
time? It smells so bad. And then I
Yeah.
go buy a 40 Rock or something after
Right.
work.
Yeah, like the smell of like stale alcohol. Like somebody who'd been drinking for like 3 days. Like I couldn't take,
Oh man,
you know, my aunt when she would be like that. I'm like, I just can't even be in the house. I'm like, I
dude,
like,
alcohol is the worst
yeah,
on people. It is. It's the worst.
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, like from physical everything. One,
Mhm.
you can't withdraw without dying,
Right.
and literally, I mean,
Yep.
it's a
Yep.
fine line,
Yep.
and then trying to even hope that you have any kind of motor functions afterwards,
Right.
is but it's
Difficult.
legal.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we were saying it
I
yesterday is
just
'cause it's like,
see
how is that the
like
one thing that's legal? Like you never heard of really anybody freaking dying because somebody got in a car and decided to drive after smoking a blunt.
well, do you know why you never hear any bad stories about prostitutes in Vegas?
Why?
Because they desensitized it. It's
Right.
legalized.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I mean, it's the same thing with weed everywhere else. Yeah,
Mhm.
they double taxed it. Whatever they're paying, you got to pay twice the literal price for it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well, that's what I said. I'm like paying taxes on buying weed at the dispensary. Like I got a dispensary right around the corner, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I would rather pay the taxes on that, than, come home and be slurring and, like all dirt. It can't function
yeah,
and
they
take
got to
care of my
cut your
kids.
legs off because you fell over
Yeah,
this way on the toilet
right. Well, I
for
mean, I
three
was
hours.
like that
Yeah,
from off of heroin, but like,
yeah. Well, that's
I
not.
when I would drink, it's the nauseating, like, oh, I can't deal with the whole stomach. I don't like stomach bugs. I literally have had maybe three that I can ever remember. I never get sick. So like I cannot deal with no stomach. Oh my God. If I get nauseous, I'm like, no. Mm-mm. So I'm
Oh,
not
I'm
gonna
out. I'm
do
going
that to
home. Yeah.
myself willingly. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
like, I would rather not have to do that to myself by volunteering for it. Like, just not gonna do it. I can't. That whole nauseating thing's not for me. Like my daughter's like, I would get blackout drunk. She's like, and I don't get sick. And I'm like, I would throw up just thinking about it. Like, not, can't
Yeah,
do
man. I'd see all
it.
these my screwdrivers. I guess is what has
Mhm.
the chocolate syrup. I don't know. I don't know. Screwdrivers, mud drivers. I don't know.
Oh,
Either way,
maybe
they had
it's
to
a
try.
mud driver. Yeah, because the
I don't
screwdriver, I
know.
think, is like orange juice and vodka or whatever.
Okay. Well, I thought that was a mimosa. Oh, that's champagne. Oh
Yeah.
well. Uh, no. I'm just thinking like you'd see like it looked like they just had a big old ice cream sundae in this glass, and then you go sniff it, and it's just like.
You're like, oh, yep. It's like can't smell it before you take a sip. You're like, otherwise I won't drink it. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, nope, won't do it. I'm like, that's why I never, to me, I think that's exactly why I never had an issue with alcohol. Like, I'm good, you know?
Yeah. Same with me. Never liked alcohol. You
Mm-mm.
know.
Like, I'll go through an entire week of like, my boys have child PTSD and they have severe ADHD. So, and it's me by myself. So these boys are pinging off the walls. It's like WWE SmackDown all day, every day in my living room. I
Welcome
mean,
to the
stuff gets
Thunderdome.
broken. Yeah. It's like things get broken left and right. So I'm like anxiety through the roof, like, you know. But it's like after a week of dealing with that, I will absolutely have a glass of wine or something like Friday night. Like they don't have to go to school the next day. I'm like, cool. Like I'll have a glass of wine or whatever, but I can't like beyond that, I'm like, mm-mm. Like I don't, it's just not for me. Like I don't, you know, I don't care enough to continue, you know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
think about it. It's like when my addiction therapist used to say to me, it mostly comes down to a person's addiction personality level, like
Yeah.
how you feel about something. If something sounds enticing to you, you may want to, you know, might be something you want to do, or you may be like, oh, well, I would try that. That sounds good, you know? It's like that kind of thing. Like, nah, it just throws me off. No, won't do it.
Yeah.
You know, with drinking, not only do I like not like being sick if you drink too much or stumble. Oh yeah, God,
Well, I remember seeing Dickie yesterday. Yeah.
peeing for 5
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Shoot.
it's not fun.
No.
Yeah, that's like not fun.
Yeah, but the problem is he's not telling the whole truth. He didn't make it to the bathroom first.
My brother would literally
I
just.
wouldn't.
My brother would whip it out in the living room behind the couch and just pee. He's like, I'm not going all the way in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Mm.
man.
Like, no,
That's a trash
bro.
can, bro.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. He's like, all my friends would come back and tell me about stories at the party. And he's like, I got to the point that I'm like, let me guess. I peed in your living room. I peed in your kitchen. I peed in the trash. You know, and it's like, probably. You probably peed in somebody's shoes somewhere along the lines, like for all we know. Like,
I did
Jesus.
that once.
Did
I
you?
Mm.
did do that. Yeah, I did.
It's like,
Yeah,
oh
I
my
did.
God.
Man, I was in a trap house, man. They were holding me hostage, man.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was smoking in his closet. He wouldn't let me out, so I pissed in his boot.
Oh boy.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I probably would have too, to be honest, if I was being stuck in his closet. And save people.
I
Yeah,
put on a shoe that's been pissed in, but I never done it myself. You know.
right.
Um. You know.
Yeah,
And I think it was an animal that peed on the shoe. I don't think it
probably.
was a Yeah, I don't think it was a person. But.
Yeah. It's like,
Hmm.
oh man, the dog pissed in my shoe.
Hmm.
I ruined my good slippers.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love my slippers. I would be so salty if someone peed in my fucking slippers. I don't care if it's a dog or a
Hell yeah.
person. Like, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
So
Dickie, what's up with this wrestling event you're going to? Where, is it close by you, or do you
Yeah.
have to travel? Oh, okay, that's good. That'll be cool. Yeah,
yeah,
like I
Yeah,
said
which one? I
earlier,
didn't see
you know,
that. Where's Dickie going? He's probably
he's
going to some
going.
AEW.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since it was WWF back in the day.
right.
Yeah. No,
In
they
the
got a
late
new thing.
'80s.
They got a new thing out called All Elite Wrestling.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically Chris Jericho. It's this
I know
guy
that
Tony
thing.
Khan. Tony Khan. He's the son of a guy who has a bunch of shell companies here, and he bought. He works for his dad owns the Jaguars and a bunch of other shell companies. So they bought one more. It's called All Elite Wrestling. So he went and got Chris Jericho and all these other guys to make this wrestling nostalgia fantasy thing that comes on TBS every Wednesday night.
Right.
To me, it's just a nostalgia fest. It's a good show. The wrestling itself they do is a good show,
Hmm.
but everything is like, dude, why are you wearing Bobby Eaton shorts? Man, this is 2022. Bobby Eaton is from like, I mean, I get it. You want to go
Right.
down and hit that nostalgia trip, but bro, you ain't getting no new fans from somebody from the 1980s.
Right.
So it's just
Yeah. I like think about it. I'm like, it's just I feel mad old that I'm like, wow, I remember like, Andre the Giant type, or
Mhm.
I
Back before
mean,
social media existed, before they could pull
right,
back the curtain,
yeah,
Mm,
like Andre the Giant was really Andre the Giant back then.
yeah,
Hulk Hogan was really the dude who got up there and said, "Eat your prayer, say your prayers and
right,
eat your vitamins."
yeah,
Now it's just like, oh, Hogan, you mean that dude that was in that porn and called that black dude the beep?
right,
Yeah,
yeah, and they always got to put some kind of drama in it. Yeah, Brian was saying that too. He's like, I mean, I like the fighting. He's like, but all the extra crap they put in it is just. He's like, I feel like I'm watching a soap opera today. I'm like,
hmm.
wow, that's crazy. It's just
Yeah.
so different.
Back then, the blood was real. The
Yeah,
hits was real.
yeah,
no, yeah.
The
You
all
go,
that
you go
stuff.
to Harley Race in a restaurant and tell them wrestling was fake. Tell an
Yeah.
NWA champ wrestling was fake in the '80s, bro.
yeah,
You're gonna get hit.
right. Might
Hmm.
end up with a broken jaw.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I watched the documentaries on a lot of the wrestlers. I've seen the one on Stone Cold Steve Austin, Macho Man Randy Savage, you know, um, Superfly Snuka, and they
yeah,
tell their whole story of when they started and the journey through and where they're at now, and it's pretty interesting stuff,
yeah, yeah,
so
absolutely.
and
Oh, this
mankind.
guy. Oh, hold on. We got a chat here. Ram
Terrence.
says Terrence said, "My thoughts on Scott Hall. Man, what a success story, dude. The dude died on his own term. Well, I mean, like in his own terms. It was. I
Hmm.
mean, he had a hip surgery that ended up being blood clots or whatever. But dude, the kind of life that he lived to be
Right,
able to at 63 years of age have a blood clot, from a surgery
right.
that happens.
Yep.
Okay, so I would consider he died on his own terms, and from what he was and to where he went to, because you know who Razor Ramon is. It's
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
Yeah, that's Scott Hall. He just
Yep.
passed away. And
That's what it is. I've literally been like, I should Google it, and then I keep forgetting to do it. But
I knew
wow.
him by
yeah,
that
yeah,
name.
hey
Yeah,
Chico,
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
hey Chico, hey yo, yeah,
Yep.
that dude, yeah, yeah, he
Um,
was just. And there's gonna be another. There's one more success story, and it's Jake the Snake Roberts, and it's Marcus Buff Bagwell. And they all come from DDP. Dude,
yeah.
Diamond Dallas Page is one of the most biggest humanitarians I have seen in a long time. And I'm not just talking about wrestling, I'm talking about in general.
Yeah.
People go to this dude's house and do his yoga program and whatever he tells them to do, and they come out completely different persons.
Yeah.
And Scott Hall was one of them. Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, and now is Buff Bagwell. And I'm excited because Buff Bagwell, I used to go stop. Okay, so WCW stopped in 2001. I used to commute back and forth 231, 431 to go to Jacksonville State every weekend. So
Yeah.
guess where I'd stop on every Friday night? In Boaz to watch Marcus Buff Bagwell.
That's
So
something. Wow.
yeah, man,
I'm
all
like,
that together, working together, man. Like, actually, I couldn't be more happy for Scott.
yeah.
I really couldn't, because that could have ended a whole lot of different ways. And
Right.
he's probably a lot happier than we are right now.
Right. That's so crazy. What was in there?
Hmm.
Was he?
It was good for the industry too. It was really
Mm.
good for the industry and anybody else to see. If anybody knew Scott Hall's story, to
Yep.
see that, and at the end of it.
I don't know them by their real names. I mainly know them by
Yeah.
their stage names. So when somebody said Scott Hall passed, I said, "Who the hell was
I know. I
who's
was
that?"
thinking some baseball
Well, he
something.
used that.
I'm
He
like, no.
used his real name when he went to
Yeah,
WCW.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
when I didn't watch it. Yeah.
I literally had no idea. Like I said, I kept saying I gotta Google it and figure out who Scott Hall is. So when people start typing it, and they're, yeah, I mean, I see it everywhere in the live chats now. So I'm like, it must have been like some sports, like baseball or something. And I'm
All
like,
you
oh,
got to do is when somebody says "What's up," is just say "Hey yo,"
yeah.
and you'll get it. You'll get it. Yeah. So
I was gonna say, well, yeah, because that was the only reason why. Like my
have you ever?
brother.
Seeing
One of my
people take
brothers would say, "Hey,
toothpicks.
yo," all the
Yeah,
time.
the dude, the toothpick was the thing, man. I've never seen anybody else do it anymore. Like just the toothpick, right?
Right.
One of those. That was awesome. And Mr. Perfect had the gum. He had the gum. He'd spit the gum in the air and hit it in the crowd. Just
Right.
little things like that just made him awesome.
That's so funny. Terrence.
You know how disrespected somebody would be right now if you took a toothpick and just one
Oh,
of
of
those right
course.
in their face. Oh
Especially when they
man,
was
they would
already
have a conniption. Either you'd be a racist, a terrorist, or you'd be a hate crime. Oh my
right.
goodness.
Yep. That's so crazy too. It's like just I mean, and especially if they already been chewing on it, it's like but I feel like anybody who was getting into wrestling at any point would probably feel pretty freaking disrespected. To me, it's like the same thing as
I'm just
like,
saying,
you
like,
know,
if I
fitness.
did that on the street to somebody, think if I did that on the
Well,
street to
that's what I'm
somebody.
saying though. Like a normal person who doesn't, you know, like any other person who doesn't watch wrestling, like to me, it's the same thing as like being disrespected by spitting on someone. That's like a no go. Sorry, I'd lose my shit. If someone flicked the toothpick at me, I'd be like, "You are going to get curb stomps like right now."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Put your jaw on the curb.
for real. Yep, for real. That's so crazy. So we gotta end soon because I gotta go get these boys off the bus, you guys.
And I'm fixing to go watch the Vols smoke Longwood. So
Right?
that happens at 2.
Yeah,
Well, my time too. So.
yeah, American. Yep, American History X. It's
Well,
like
Carl, thank you for coming on, and telling your stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Man,
So it
like I
gets others
said,
to do it, you know?
hey,
right,
that's really what I wanted to do, man. If I could just get other people to get up here and do their thing, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I know I didn't tell much of my story, but if anybody else
It's all
felt
good.
it helps.
comforted or at any point was like, man, if this fried loser can make it, I can too. You're
Right.
right.
Well,
You're
I got
right.
a
You
call
can. You can
yesterday,
make it.
knowing that there was going to be a guy on today. I got a call yesterday asking like if I was coming on next week. I said, yeah, it's every week. So they asked if maybe if they're like, I'm like 90% sure, but like I just feel a little more comfortable because you already had like, you know, another guy up there that told his story
Yeah.
before, which is what first inspired me to want to tell it. They're like, but now you got another guy coming up there. It's like I just feel a little bit more comfortable. And it's like
Yeah, and
I
I'll be in the
welcome it,
chat and encouraging them.
you
I'll be in
know.
the chat too. I just one of the fellows like from this, I just go back into the chat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, like I said before, there's so like guys just don't feel as comfortable doing it. You know what I mean? Like guys
Mm-hmm.
aren't used to, you know, they think it's like, oh, guys aren't supposed to talk. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are
Hmm.
supposed to talk about it. You are supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, let's get the stigmatism, whatever that there is, the stigma behind any guys opening up. Like, let's try to like veer away from that. Like, we want this to
Mm-hmm.
be everybody, you know. I want a guy to feel just as comfortable as a female would feel up here, you know. It happens to everybody, like whether you're a male or female. So
Mm-hmm.
so I think it would be awesome. So you definitely did already help.
Well,
Big time.
Yeah.
good. Then I'm cool. If, as
Yeah,
long as I was useful, that's all that matters.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely were for sure. Let's see. Dickie said, I really liked your story, Carl, and you've done a good job telling it. Stay strong and keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Dickie.
Yeah, we
Terrence
had
said,
three. Yeah.
yeah.
Terrence did too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I know
because I was
Terrence
going
has
to
been
say
active.
Terrence came up here too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence said, "Hey Carl, your recovery is for life."
Yeah, hell yeah. NWO for life.
Let's see. So, and Dickie said to me, as a guy, opening up is called being a man. You are so right, Dickie. I
Mm,
really couldn't agree more. Like, definitely appreciated having you up here, Carl. So, anytime.
yeah,
Hopefully, we'll see you in stream a lot more too. So, you know,
you will. You will.
I'll make the
But
community post as soon as we get off so you can comment your Instagram name for them. Or I'll go
okay,
copy
cool.
the link. So,
Well, I gotta go to the bathroom, so I will see y'all later.
All right,
Thank
Carl. We'll see you later.
uh, thank you, you guys, for coming and supporting Carl in here. Let me see. Oh, I was gonna say, let me see if we can get him his thing off. But thank you for coming and supporting him and making him feel super comfortable. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys for that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a huge deal when we can get any type of, person up here to begin with, but like when we can get a man up here, to speak on his struggles and, his strides, like I think it's a plus for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We will
We
go.
had Damon, then we had Juggalos, and now we had Carl. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
right. Yep. I was
Oh
gonna say,
yeah.
I kept thinking at first, I'm like, I thought it was three, but like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind, guys.
And I'm really for, because I've spoken on
Yes,
different things throughout also. So,
so true.
which is good. But thank
Yeah.
you everybody for being here. I'm gonna drop down, let Jules do her outro, and I will see you all later.
Thank you,
Have
you
a
guys.
good day.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Variety.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Jules.
Yep, absolutely.